The Hitman Trilogy starts out as a fun series all about sneaking around and taking out targets in ridiculous ways, but it slowly becomes a crippling addiction surrounding perfectly timed kills and insanely close escapes. I don't usually start my videos with a clickbait headline like that, but the truth is Hitman is slowly taking over my life. I dove into the series randomly when Hitman 2 appeared as a free game on the PlayStation Plus store, but nothing could have prepared me for the series that has now ruined my sleeping schedule. In a lot of ways, it's the James Bond game that we never got but definitely deserved. It's also got a refreshingly simple yet creative story, but most of all, Hitman gives the player the freedom to play the way they want to play. Now, that isn't to say that Hitman doesn't have its downsides. In fact, I have a lot of gripes, but before we get into the review, I want to mention that I played the remastered version of the trilogy on the PS4. I've never played the classic version, so I can't really make comparisons, but I'm gonna assume it's mostly the same game but with much better graphics. I could be totally wrong, but whatever, we aren't talking about the old games. First off, if you barely know anything about Hitman, let me give you a quick rundown of what this game is even about. You play as Agent 47, a hitman, believe it or not, who goes on a mission to take out really bad people. And I guess that's really all you gotta know because Hitman does a great job of letting you decide the rest. If you wanted, you could play Hitman like a basic third-person shooter, and brute force your way through everyone in your path. This is actually how I started playing Hitman when I first jumped into it. It's not very graceful, but it's an option, and you could play the entire series in this way. Or if you're a normal person, which clearly I wasn't, you could stealth your way around each level and even disguise yourself to get closer to your target. The only thing that's really affected by the way you play is the score you get at the end of each level for following specific requirements. So at the end of the day, you can really play Hitman however you want. Hitman has some of the most impressive level design that I've ever seen in a game. First and foremost, Hitman is a pretty beautiful game. Games that base their art styles in high graphic realism are kind of a grab bag these days. Sometimes they work, other times they look like this. Hitman's realistic graphics set itself apart from other games all due to its beautiful locations taking place all over the world. It's crazy how you can jump from these dense, colorful forests in Colombia to the claustrophobic city of Mumbai, India. Hitman does an exceptional job bringing these locations to life, from its culturally inspired music to the residents of these countries going about their everyday life. You know what else is impressive? The fact that there are hundreds and hundreds of NPCs roaming around each map, making the world feel less like a level in a video game, but as if you're actually packed in there with them. Each map is so big that you will constantly get lost exploring it, but everything feels like it's there for a reason. Right when you think you're backed into a corner with no escape, boom, there's a window to climb through, or a ledge to hang from. As you progress through the trilogy, you start to notice more things about your surroundings like, okay, are there any closets to hide bodies in? Is there a switch I can mess with to distract guards? Hitman's level design works so well because rather than teaching you all the mechanics in the tutorial, you figure out how to utilize the world around you the more that you play. Which is all the more reason why the replayability of Hitman is so strong. There is so much to do in each level that it's literally impossible to experience it all in one playthrough. More specifically, there are story missions in Hitman that will give you tons of different ways to get close to your target. But you can't try them all in one go because you really only have one shot at getting the job done. To give you an example, there's a level in the game where you have to take down a prominent figure in the Colombian drug cartel. The first time around, I followed a story mission that had me disguise myself as a mechanic and obliterate my target with a malfunctioning submarine. The second time I played this same level, I dressed up as a famous tattoo artist in order to walk right through the front gates and meet the man himself before taking him out. And it's not like every single level is just about taking out your target. It feels like each mission is completely distinct and memorable. There's one level in Hitman 3 where you have to solve a murder mystery at a mansion, which by the way is probably my favorite mission of the whole series, but that's the thing. Each level feels even better than the last. I can't remember the last time I played a game and could remember every single mission after the first playthrough. So as I mentioned before, when you first jump into Hitman, it's pretty easy to just be okay with killing everybody in sight, but once you understand the ranking/scoring system of the game, it gets a lot more interesting. While it's still fun to rush in guns blazing, you get a ton of bonuses for doing things like only killing your target, or not being seen by any guards. The highest ranking in the game is Silent Assassin, which requires you to pretty much do everything perfectly without anybody realizing that you were even there. It wasn't until the end of Hitman 3 that I got my first Silent Assassin rating, and it was a pretty awesome feeling. It just made me want to go back and replay the whole game, perfecting every single level as I go. While the ranking system is one of my favorite parts about Hitman, it also brings up a lot of problems. For one, the rating system removed some of the freedom that makes Hitman so special. Once you realize it's there, it becomes less fun playing the game in the way you want to play. Maybe that's just me, but I started caring more about what the game wanted me to do than what I actually wanted to do. Also, if you're trying to do a perfect run, you'll be saving and loading constantly. The loading screens in Hitman 1 and 2 are pretty unbearable. I'm not sure if this is only in the PS4 version of the game, but if you want to save the game, it'll take you 30 seconds just to get to the pause menu. Even worse, if you want to reload a past save, you could be waiting a much longer time, which is especially annoying if you're doing it often during a level. Those are definitely the two biggest things that had a negative impact on my playthrough, but I also had a few minor things to bring up. Hitman 1 and 3 have incredible stories, definitely the most interesting in the series. Hitman 2's story is noticeably weaker than the others because not only does it feel like it goes nowhere, but the cutscenes are far worse. The first and last game have these really stunningly beautiful moments, but then you go to the sophomore game and the whole story is told through these single unmoving shots. It's the same issue I had with Yakuza 0. These cutscenes completely take you out of the story. But regardless of these complaints, the Hitman Trilogy is 100% worth it. Although it's a well-known series, and also a AAA title, I feel like Hitman's kinda underappreciated. Maybe I'm a little late to the party, but I really like this game. So much so that I can't stop watching Hitman speedruns, and I'm practically losing sleep over it. If I had to rank each game, Hitman 3 was definitely my favorite, then Hitman 1, and after that Hitman 2, as you might expect. Anyways, subscribe to my channel if you want to see more reviews like this in the future. Make sure to check out my video game music video that came out last week because it's probably my favorite video I've ever made. Go play Hitman, and as always, keep gaming to the fullest, and peace.